What's up, party people? This is Jelly Skeleton coming at you with my thoughts on one of the more underrated and unsung games of the Kingdom Hearts series, that is Kingdom Hearts Rechain of Memories, and how I think it's not only one of the better games in the series, but if you have the taste for it, it has probably my favorite combat system in the series, if not in any game. I will, of course, admit a little bit of opinion bias here. I am a huge fan of games like Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic the Gathering, Clash Royale, anything I can get my hands on where I can feel like I'm maximizing a potential or a number in some way. Love it. Absolutely love it. And Kingdom Hearts Rechain of Memories gives me that satisfying feeling along with a Kingdom Hearts game. And it's really, really cool how they've managed to take cards that are based on nothing but the abilities you get in the first game, and then not only make a card system based around that, but also one that allows you to combine these cards in ways to create slights, which give you access to even bigger moves, and the way you can arrange your deck, and the way you do all these various things to um, build your deck and maximize its potential really speaks to the quality of this game's combat system. And if you are the type of player is so inclined to min-max, then you will be rewarded by being able to essentially steamroll everything. It's really what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it in terms of its combat system. And while it might seem complicated on the surface, it's actually quite simple, which I will explain. Using the deck that I have beaten the game with on Proud as an example. And here you can see I'm absolutely kicking Marluxia's shit in with a Cloud deck mixed with the Lethal Frame, which is just an excellent card. And it's great out of the Cloud because of the fact that Cloud gets you up to the enemy, and it needs to be fairly near to the enemy. Originally, I put these two together because of Omni Slash Plus, hinting at, that these cards can be combined, but I really realized Omni Slash Plus is not all that great. However, what is great is Cloud and Lethal Frame. And as you can see, Marluxia barely getting any moves in. And what it really comes down to is you don't need to run zeros in your deck. What you need is to run as high a level cards as possible, whatever the strategy you're trying to use. I think this is one of the better ones. It's also, according to my taste, I really, really love Cloud, and the fact he's a summon in this game, especially, I really love the Kingdom Hearts design of Cloud, with the cape and the bandaged sword. It's so cool. And being able to use him as part of a magic build where you can feel like a full caster all the time, pretty much from the get in this game, it's really, really great. And so, back to what I was saying, you don't need zeros. What you need is your cards to be higher, right? And you need to always be playing slights beyond the very early game. You need to always be playing slights, because if your slight's stronger, you're basically invincible, right? That's how it works. There's no guarding or anything like that. It's whoever has the higher number wins. And very early on, you'll get probably the first Heartless card is the Shadow Heartless card. It ups each card's value by 1, so that means a slight gets a +3 added to it. Suddenly, 3 6s turn into 3 7s. That's pretty deadly even in the late game, as you can see. He only breaks them a couple of times, but you can see his cards just bouncing off of mine. And essentially, he didn't even get to use his card spill mechanic. I completely stun-locked him for the most part and just destroyed him like it was nothing. Now, you might ask, why did I inevitably go with Cloud and Lethal Frame when I could have gone with just one or the other? And there is a good reason for that. There's a couple, actually. The first one is efficiency, and that simply is because getting the Cloud cards is pretty efficient, and you're always going to be getting Keyblade cards, right? So that means of any card, you're going to have the most likely chance to have an abundance of 8s and 9s on those cards. And therefore, you only have to get less stops, right? And it's much easier at level 4-7, which is when you can start farming Cloud cards from the Moogle shops to do the reset if you don't get what you want. And there's a pack that somehow, for some reason, will keep generating. I guess the cards are not actually random. It's just like they're set packs, and it's random which one you get. Because with about, over the course of the 20 plus hour game, about in maybe 45 minutes to an hour worth of, doing the reload reset thing, I was able to get this pack to spawn numerous times to get a bunch of clouds easily. So there was only about a quote-unquote hour of grinding, but it wasn't actual grinding, it was abusing the save feature. But if you don't do that, you're not going to be able to get good cards, period. So, just an FYI. The second reason is because Cloud can deal with faraway enemies. He teleports, basically. He doesn't teleport, but he flies, he might as well teleport to each enemy. And that allows you to cover distance, it allows you to take out aerial enemies when you're just fighting normal enemies, and all that good stuff. While Lethal Frame is really great DPS against a boss, but it's not all that great for anything else. And, it's got that range that's pretty short, as you can see. There's a couple times it misfires where I'm just not close enough to Marluxia until I start actually playing more calmly and just reacting to all his moves. And it's really that simple. It's just a matter of having more numbers than your opponent. The only Heartless card really worth using is that Shadow for those pluses, because no other effect, in my opinion, not a single one, is better than getting +3 Inner Slights, period. And as you can see, easily defeating him because of those simple numbers. Just his numbers can't beat mine. So, going forward with a quick overview of the deck so you can understand exactly what I'm talking about. We've got a bunch of clouds. As you can see, I easily got all these 6s. I was getting 666 all the time off these packs, getting 2 per with just a little bit of grinding. And then the Lethal Frames, of course, getting the stops, not nearly as time consuming as getting a bunch of other spells, because again, the Keyblades are easy to get. And then here we have my little cure mechanic. Here I have the item card set up with 2 cures. The item card's going to get spent anyway, so, it heals you enough, gives you a really solid slight that's going to get both the healing and the reload off. Very nice. Mushu down at the bottom there for the easy access to Mega Flare whenever I want to pull it out my butt. And of course, again, the only one worth running, the Shadow. I got 2 of them, didn't need to, and I did have a green Requiem. I've got so much CP at this point that I could afford to fit him in there, although it didn't even come up. But the thing about it is that CP is so valuable compared to HP, it's just crazy. So, when it comes to HP, I realistically could have probably beaten this game with half of that. And really, it's best to go into as much CP as quickly as you can to get as many cards live as possible that are high value. And you want to premium everything. Absolutely everything. And online, they will say that premiums don't get reloaded, but that's not true. They reload just like everything else. It lowers the cost in your deck, so you can have a massive amount of cards before you run out of resources. And essentially, the way I had that deck built by the time I got to Marluxia, it was something I could have beaten in 3 or 4 times over with all the resources I had at my disposal. You really never at risk at running out unless you go for a holy. But by the time I go for a holy, I know I'm either going to need to use those cards on recovery, or if I can just go for the holy, because it's pretty baller to beat him with the holy, like how I did with Axel earlier there. I was feeling pretty nice about that one. Pretty baller. Just a few other things of note and a couple of side mentions of a few other things that I noticed as I was playing through this game, and that is, it's almost pseudo turn-based because of how the card and card break mechanics work. And there's certain things that also make moves such as Lethal Frame and Cloud really good. Ones that have parts of their animation, usually towards the end, that allow you to actually scroll your deck. And this allows you to set up stuff in advance, so you can actually try and play that way. As you can see, I'm accessing a lot of my stuff really quickly in those battles. Half of that Maybe 70% of it has to do with how I have the deck set up, the order I have everything placed in, but the other half has to do with me abusing those iframes, essentially. And that is another thing to consider. And this game just gives you so much more to consider than any of the other Kingdom Hearts games when it comes to its combat. And that's why I love it the most. Now, I'm not going to go much into the level design. It is the most limited game in the series when it comes to that, but that said, all of the handheld titles have that feeling, with the exception of Dream Drop feeling a little bit bigger. But that said, the player agency and how you get a whole separate set of room cards that you can manipulate to essentially play through the dungeon as efficiently as possible is really awesome. And I will explain. The key card in this is Roulette Room. Early game, you want to try and farm roulette rooms. You get a roulette room, you want to get a roulette room off of your roulette room. That way, any other cards you get are not only ideal, but bonus to the roulette room, because you can now spawn another roulette room. And if you do that to about the mid-game, you're going to be pretty much set on any card that you could possibly need. And say you get screwed by like needing a specific number of a specific color. For me, it was a green 3 in Hollow Bastion. And I didn't have a green 3, I have a tendency to dump the low-value cards, keep the high-value ones, because I'm literally constantly being bombarded by amazing shit by the roulette room. So, what's the solution to that? The roulette room, of course, because it has the highest probability of each battle of giving you a green 3, or whatever you need, because instead of one random card dropping potentially, it's this whole mess of cards you get to pick from. And so, simply spawning one roulette room was enough to solve my problem. I was able to progress. I didn't really have to do any conventional grinding beyond that save feature exploitation, which in a lot of Kingdom Hearts games, like the side ones you want to do, like for example in Birth by Sleep, certain commands are rare when you meld them, so in order to get, say, Warp on Terra, it's a really low chance. If you don't abuse the save mechanic, the amount of grinding you have to do would be stupid. So, the thing is, though, it's really great about how it rewards you both in the combat with feeling like you're being a smart player, but also with how you're progressing through the dungeon being a smart player. It all ties in together. It makes sense, and it makes the limited level design more palatable. And the gameplay loop of the card mechanics and battles are addictive, if it is the type of thing that you like. If you're not the kind of person who enjoys card games and numbers and stuff like that, you'll probably hate this game. You'll probably think this is the worst combat in the series. Many people express having to trudge through this game just for the cutscenes and all this and that. But I don't play this game for the story. I play this game because it's fun as hell, and it's a unique take on card mechanics. It's not like Yu-Gi-Oh!, it's not like Magic, it's more like War than anything, but in that, there's so much complexity to it with the sleights, how you build your deck, what cards you collect, all these various different things, even the very methods down to getting the cards and progressing through the dungeons. So, in my opinion, as far as all of that goes, it's just a 10 out of 10 game, and I couldn't be happier with it. I just wish it had PvP, so it could really, really shine, and people could put their cards and decks to the test against each other. The one other thing I feel like it is sorely lacking is a critical mode. Of all the games in the series to need and deserve a critical mode, it's the one with the most complicated combat and the most reward for what you're willing to put into it. And it really is a shame that there isn't, although I understand why there isn't, because otherwise, all the bosses would just play nothing but 9s, and it would become, ridiculous. Because Proud Mode, some of the bosses, Marluxia was throwing out triple 8s and shit like that. So, I get it, but I just wish that there was some way that I could get a bit more challenge out of it now that I've mastered it. But that said, it was very fun to master, and I thoroughly enjoyed playing through this game, probably the most out of all of the side games. And I would say it rates it pretty high on my list, and it's definitely my favorite as far as combat mechanics go out of all of the side games, and all of the main games too. Now, I'm not going to go super into detail on the story. It's there. It's one some people really like, one some people don't. But mainly, this is a game I play for the gameplay. Essentially, the story revolves around Sora revisiting the worlds he's been to and the memories that have been created by this Naminé girl here in Castle Oblivion. And essentially, each floor is flavored um, after these worlds in these dungeons. And essentially, the plots are often different from what actually happens in Kingdom Hearts 1. I think this is supposed to be, about how his memories are becoming more hazy and blah, blah, blah. And it's essentially just about Organization 13 trying to brainwash Sora by making him, forget a bunch of stuff and, like, manipulating him by making him remember things. It's convoluted, like with all Kingdom Hearts stuff. Realistically speaking, I'm not really coming to Kingdom Hearts often for the story. I'm coming for the atmosphere. I'm coming for basically everything else. The story has points in it in the various games where I would say it's really good. But if you're expecting a lot out of that, Kingdom Hearts isn't really going to be anything other than confusing, maybe infuriating, depending on who you are. But the story serves its purpose for giving you a reason to progress through Castle Oblivion, although they know they're pretty much losing their memories in the first few floors, and they don't just decide to turn around and leave right there. They're just fine with it. That, honestly, I think, doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but that's just me. That's my main nitpick with all of it. It just, why would you do that? Why would anyone willingly walk into such an obvious trap? Sora's a dumbass.
You still want to fight? But Vexen's gone, so now you're free.
It doesn't matter.
Winnie the shit. Poo poo pee pee taka dookie bear. Winnie the shit. Winnie the shit. Interrupting my Kingdom Hearts game. Winnie the shit. Winnie the shit. Did I mention I hate the mini games? I hate the mini games. Alright, I'm gonna not do the whole song. Speaking of Vexen and not mattering, let's just take a little watch of this scene.
That matters. Just put Riku back.
It matters.
Just put him back.
Seriously, though, what's with the way that Vexen parts his damn hair? Classically talking about sinking into darkness, of course, Kingdom Hearts at its finest, yes. Naminé. That hoe. Marluxia, who has a really cool character design, by the way, with the rose petals and the scythes and the praying mantis scythes and all that. And here's Axel. Oh, everyone's favorite badass, Axel. What's he gonna do?
Did I catch you at a
Smug
bad
as
time?
always. I don't know. Got it memorized?
I came to stop you from talking too much.
Okay, so what's he gonna,
By
like, tie him
eliminating your
up, or...
existence.
No, don't do it.
Wait,
We are just nobodies who have no one to be,
Axel,
yet we still
my
are.
dog.
But now you can be nothing instead of just being a nobody. You're off. the hook.
Oh, edgy.
No, please don't. I don't want it.
Goodbye.
And Axel straight up murders Vexen. Very dark for Kingdom Hearts. I mean, come on, Axel. I know you fire, but that was cold as ice. Shoot. And he's such a sweetheart in Kingdom Hearts 3. Let's not forget one of the most blatant murders in all of Kingdom Hearts right there. Rechain your memories, folks. I'm not really going to touch all that much on Riku's campaign, mainly because I don't care for it. It strips away everything that I enjoy about it. You know, not being able to build your own deck and all this and that. I feel like they really missed the mark on the gameplay with it. And without that loop, it's just not the same. It's awesome to be able to play as Riku for the first time in the series, but you're going to get a lot more mileage out of Riku in Dream Drop Distance. So, That is to say what it is. I'm glad it's there, but it's not something I would revisit like the Sora playthrough with the intricate card gameplay mechanics. And that, folks, has been my review slash guide slash thoughts slash trying to shine a light on a hidden gem of a game that a lot of people overlook because they write off the combat system. But if you're that very specific type of nerd who loves stuff like Magic the Gathering and also really loves Kingdom Hearts, then this game will scratch an itch unlike no other. And I really feel like it doesn't get the credit that it's due just from a gameplay department. Honestly, if I had my way, every Kingdom Hearts game would use this battle system. I feel like the half-hearted use in the later handheld titles, where they removed the actual cards and just kept the theme of cards, I miss the mechanics. Doing a slight's a lot more rewarding, and there's just so much more to this game than people give it credit for. See you guys next time.